Thank you. And General McConville, I want to go back to something that General Milley said during his testimony last week. He said decisive outcomes in war are ultimately achieved on land. Do you agree with this statement?
Absolutely.
So in your opening statement, you write, the Army remains prepared to fight and win the nation's wars. Can you briefly describe what it would mean from the Army's perspective to win in a war with China, or as General Milley put it, to achieve a decisive outcome?
Yeah, I would say winning with China is not fighting China. I think the way I would describe it is to have the ability that we have overmatch. And again, I kind of believe in a philosophy of peace through strength. And that strength comes from a whole of government effort where you have a very strong military, you have a very strong army, so people, do not want to take the risks of doing certain things. And you also have strong allies and partners who share the same vision of the world order, and they're going to stand side by side and not allow some of these things to happen.
So then focusing on the Army's component on that, a ground component such as the Army, what would the Army provide towards this decisive outcome, which I think we would all agree we would like to not fight ultimately that war?
Well, it's going to provide the capabilities, it's going to provide long-range precision fires, it's going to provide maneuver vehicles that can, the only way to compel people is on the ground, to stop those type of things from happening. And what we want to have is a very lethal and agile army, and we think we get that through having speed, range, and convergence that gives us decision dominance, and having the appropriate amount of capability within the joint force to be able to deter them from taking on those type actions.
Okay, so as you know, and you referred to earlier, that many strategists have said that the conflict in the Western Pacific is primarily a naval and an air campaign, and it seems that based on this discussion, you see a role for ground forces and a role for the Army in a conflict in the Western Pacific. Recently, the head of Air Force Global Strike Command said that your effort, the Army's effort to base long-range missiles in the Pacific was expensive, duplicative, and stupid. And the number one priority for PACOM and the Pacific Deterrent Initiative is missile defense. Yet, that is your number 6 modernization priority behind long-range precision fires, next-generation combat vehicle, vertical lift, and others in your budget submission. Can you briefly explain why the Army is pursuing long-range fires in the Pacific, including shore-based anti-ship missiles, when 1, there are no basing agreements to house these weapons in the first island chain, 2, the Marine Corps is developing the same but a more mobile capability, and 3, the cost of delivering this capability far exceeds the Navy and Air Force capabilities?
Yeah, I think, Congressman, that we absolutely need long-range precision fires. I think it provides multiple options for the combatant commander. If you take a look at what the Secretary was talking about, and you have to take a look at anti-access area denial, and I would recommend get a classified brief on what those capabilities they have, because our adversaries have sophisticated integrated air and missile defense. They have sophisticated...
I'm not trying to argue against long-range fires, but just the role of the Army in that when the Navy and the Air Force are Marine Corps and Air Force are already developing those capabilities at potentially a lower cost. And just pivoting on that as well, so the Army has a good and soon-to-be improved ground-based missile defense capability if the low-tier air and missile defense system works. But the Navy operates Aegis Ashore missile defense system. Why doesn't the Army take over the Aegis Ashore, which is what the PACOM commander asked for in Guam, instead of building a new multi-billion-dollar radar?
Well, we're going to take a look at what is the best way to do integrated air and missile defense. We've got a IFPC capability and Iron Dome capability. Where the Army's going right now is on an integrated air and missile defense battle command system they'll take advantage of conversions using multiple sensors to multiple different shooters, and that's where we're going as far as that process. The Aegis right now, we do not have people, it's not a matter of just taking over. We'd have to train a whole cohort of...
Well, I understand that, but my whole point is this, that there's duplicity, like we're duplicating things amongst the services when at the same time you and other service chiefs will talk a lot about jointness. It seems like there's excess redundancy and funds in this budget that go to things that are significantly overlapping amongst the services. And I'm sorry, but my time has expired.
Okay, thank you.